This past weekend, in my home country, Kenya, there were reports of a 7-year-old boy who, out of a desperate need to address extreme hunger his family was facing, cooked a meal of chameleons for 2 of his younger siblings. As you may suspect, his younger siblings were later hospitalized. Make no mistake, in my home country, chameleons are not a delicacy. So you can imagine how desperate this young boy was. The following numbers have been reverberated throughout this event. In Africa, over 500,000 people dead of drought-related hazards. The losses, over 70 billion USD. 1,000 flood-related incidents. 20,000 flood-related deaths. In Kenya, my home country, 4.3 million people face extreme hunger. 120,000 lactating mothers face a dire need of nutritional support. 2.5 million livestock have died or are dead. Our wildlife have not been spared either. 273 elephants, 512 wildebeest, 400 zebras, 51 buffaloes, 12 giraffes, all dead in under 9 months. As Kenya faces its worst drought in 40 years, that is our current reality, ladies and gentlemen. And these are just numbers from one country out of 54 countries on this continent. Now, if we do not see the challenges that we face today, challenges of drought, cyclones, and flooding, as threatening our current reality, and more importantly, threatening our future, then I don't know what will. If we cannot tackle the challenges of today, then as insurers, what business will we have tomorrow? As political leaders listening to me today, whom will you govern tomorrow? What will transition away from being a hungry, broken continent? It is for that very simple reason, among others, ladies and gentlemen, that as signatories of the Nairobi Declaration on Sustainable Insurance, we are here today to make a couple of commitments. We are going back to the original intention of business, to support society. We are encouraged that we have an ever-growing ambition from us to address these challenges. And therefore, today we announce the setup of the Africa Climate Risk Facility. This facility is a mechanism to scale private sector underwriting of climate disaster risk in Africa. It will facilitate the uptake of climate risk insurance by African sovereigns, by cities, by humanitarian organizations in order to help African countries better manage financial impacts of climate shocks and increase resilience of our most vulnerable communities. Now, given the scale of loss and damage finance required, Africa cannot continue to rely on international aid and developed world climate finance commitments as we respond to these climate catastrophes. Therefore, local, market-based disaster risk financial solutions must be developed, but more importantly, must be scaled, with insurance being a very critical tool. The Africa Climate Risk Facility, ladies and gentlemen, is actually a response to this need. At the same time, we know there are challenges. The sovereign demand side challenges of constrained fiscal spaces, which we all know about, and low capacity, and the supply side challenges of technical ability to underwrite these complex climate risks. There is need for donor funding to move the market towards sustainable self-functioning. It is for this reason, ladies and gentlemen, that this facility will also include a multi-donor trust fund to support market building activities up until 2030. Now, what will this facility do? This facility will provide gradually reducing premium subsidies for sovereigns and sub-sovereign climate risk solutions up to 2030. It will also empower local insurers to underwrite climate risk within their countries. It will provide the necessary technical assistance to governments, to cities, in order to create the right environment for climate risk solutions to be effective. It will also work together with development partners and donors who are already engaged in providing capacity building, such as the Africa Climate Risk Capacity Agency, the Global Risk Financing Facility, and the Insurance Development Forum, of course, among others. As signatories, therefore, we make a pledge today. We are going to underwrite a cumulative figure of $14 billion to cover climate risks by 2030. And this is to protect 1.4 billion people against floods, droughts, and tropical cyclones. Please note, these are cumulative figures up to 2030. So what does that mean? In the year 2023, we plan to cover 140 million people in Africa. Seems ambitious, I can see, by how you're looking at me, but we can do it. But to do this, and as mentioned earlier, we are looking for support from donors and partners to move the market towards sustainable self-functioning. And we're looking for $900 million to ensure this 1.4 billion people by 2030. It's actually that direct. $900 million for 1.4 billion lives. Again, cumulative figures by 2030. Now, ladies and gentlemen, with this facility, no country will ever have to reallocate funds from prior preset priority sectors in order to respond to a loss and damage need. As you can see, this ambition is not driven by some short-term isolated approaches. We are working together as 85 signatories to the Nairobi Declaration. We are connecting all the dots. We are coming together as risk managers, as risk carriers, to ensure we support resilience of our African economies. Now, the call is urgent. The time for action is actually now. We have woken up with one united heartbeat and joined together to build a responsive sector that will play its role in creating resilient economies. A society that is better primed for future disruptions occasioned by climate change. And indeed, we concede, climate change is a moving target. The world is getting hotter, and that's why we are all gathered here, to make things better. But as insurers from Africa, we are here to echo the sentiment of hope. Driven by the African Union ethos, African solutions to solve Africa's problems. An Africa that is food secure. An Africa that is resilient to floods and cyclones. An Africa that can stand on its own 2 feet in the midst of significant climate disasters. That, ladies and gentlemen, is the new Africa that we are pursuing. Thank you.